Hello YouTube, this is Triple Valve 62 at the depot saying welcome to the YouTube video today. Thank you for joining me, and also thank you for the recent subscriptions and comments as well. Much appreciated, that means a lot to me. And also I've been checking out some of your videos as and when I can get the time, but from what I've seen so far, you guys are doing a great job. And excuse me, I wanted to share with you today, we're almost at the end of September, so I thought I would do a September layout news and views video, as it were. And it consists of two brand new Loco'S that I got recently for my birthday, that I'm going to be showing you in a minute. And also it's going to be featuring these Loco'S running around the layout, and also some new bits and pieces that I've built in terms of scenery. So sit back and I'll try and do this as reasonably quick as possible without doing too much time on the old YouTube. And sit back and enjoy it. So the first Loco up that I got, I'm really pleased about this one, and I've actually wanted a Loco like this for a long time in terms of finish and appearance. And it's one of these. It's a Bachmann Loco class 37, and it isn't just any old 37, it's a green mint pristine finish one, and she's D6714. And why I like this Loco, and I'll get this out of the box in a minute and I'll get the camera out, we can show you the Loco in detail, but just really quickly, this Loco is available in Hatton's model railway shop, online and also in person. And the reason I personally want this Loco, really quickly, is because it's an original Stratford class 37 that was originally at Stratford Shed 30A in 1961. And on the side there, I'll show you that more in a minute, but it's actually got a 30A shed plate on the side, which is fantastic. Anyway, I'll stop the video really quickly and get this out of the box, and you can have a look for yourself. Okay, stay tuned and grab a cuppa. Okay guys, well, welcome back to the second part of this video, and as you can see, we've got the Loco out of the box, but I'm just showing you the box for a reason, because to show you what it comes in. It's sort of a plasticky display type constructed plastic vacuum formed, whatever it is, container. Basically, this is what the model comes in, and also I just want to show you these are very well packed, so there's no chance of nothing getting broken unless you actually on purpose throw it on the floor or it gets purposely damaged. They are very well packed, and again, Bachmann and Hornby these days, and even Helgen, are coming pretty much online with the same standard of packaging. And as you can see, it's transparent, so you can see the product inside, and again, it's nicely securely packed in there. So you get that bit, and then inside's obviously the tray, and this bit of paper that you see in here, this is basically the lubrication and maintenance sheet for the Loco. So it gives you all the part numbers should anything go wrong or you need a replacement, and that's all very boring. So let's put that back out of the way and bring the Loco, let's get out of the way, sorry folks, I'll just bung that out of the way somewhere. Tell you what, we'll put it on the floor, out of the way, we can harm down there. I'll bring in the Loco, so let's have a look at this beautiful Loco. Here she comes. Oh, look at this, look at that. Let's actually move it around there so you can see it better. There we go. Look. Bring me lamp down without burning my fingers. There we go, look at this, look, isn't that lovely? Isn't she adorable? She's absolutely cute. She's really lovely. And this one is in pristine finish, as you can see. It's got nice little things like this detail on the side here. Above the runner number, D6714, there's a plaque there. I think it's brush traction, or English Electric, I think, on the side there. That nice aluminium steel finish step that goes up to the cab, then that's nice. The handrails, even the little door handle there's quite nice. You do get a driver in the cab there. His name's Fred, and he's a 30A man. His name might even be Gordon, because it's green engine. Loads of detail on this thing, and just basically it really pops out in terms of the rivet detail. Look at this, I mean, above the fuel tanks there on the main body, you've got this nice rivet detail here. The fuel point there, which is slightly to the left of the camera shot, which is right in the centre now. That's nice. And on the fuel tanks themselves, you've got the little gauges there, look. They're painted in quite nice. They're added quite nice, some steps there. Nice amount of detail on the chassis side of it, and the running side. And the brake cylinders. Everything on there as it should be from the real prototype 37s. Done very nicely by Bachmann. You wouldn't expect nothing else less in terms of moulding and quality. But this is what I like about the model. This is what makes it really unique for me. Look at this, guys. This is really nice. 30A. That's a Stratford Loco depot plate. And that was my local depot, Stratford. Being an East End man, I grew up just down the road in Leytonstone all my life. And Stratford was the nearest TMD depot to me. And certainly in terms of train spotting when I was much younger. Regularly used to stand on the platform at Stratford on Saturdays and Sundays and watch these beasts go past with freight workings coming out of Temple Mills and bits and pieces behind them. Not in this livery, but certainly in the BR Blue days. But she's a lovely machine. Looking at the front of this Loco, if I just turn it around, you'll see on the front you've got some split head codes there, and these actually light up, and you'll see from the running video that accompanies this little review in a moment or so, you'll see afterwards these light up, and they do light up in the direction of travel. And what they've done basically on the older type 37s, the headlights light up in the direction of travel if it's DC. If it's DCC, they'll do the same thing. Obviously you control it from your end, I suppose. I don't know that much about DCC. I've got friends that are into DCC and that sort of thing, but this particular model is very DCC friendly. It comes DCC ready, and those head codes, like I said, light up in the direction of travel. And underneath you've got some tail lamps there. Let me just get my pointy device, which today will be a paintbrush. These little things here, these little round lamps actually light up. They're your tail lamps. So if it goes this way, they'll be lit, and if it's going this way, the head code numbers will light up. I promise I haven't had one pointer. Anyway, the head code boxes do light up in direction of travel. When you go that way, facing away, on the rear, you'll have these light up as well, which is really nice. A nice little bit of detail on the front to talk about really is certainly the little attention to detail to the handrails, the lamp iron brackets, the door hinges for the centre door in the nose there. And on the front itself, it does come with the amount of detail you can fit yourself. You'll see there in between the buffers there's a coupling hook and chain that I fit with a dab of super glue. It does come with a super detail pack, which I'll show you here. As you can see, you get snow ploughs there, vacuum pipes, jumper cables for both ends as well. So if you want to have what I normally do, I always have the lead end normally without a coupling on the front. Have that plain and just have all the super detail bits on the front. That way, to me, it looks more prototypical if it's pulling a set rake of coaches or a set train. But you might want to just leave it off and keep it in the bag for the rest of its days. It's up to you. You don't have to. It's your train. The other thing you get with the Loco, as you can see, these frost panels here, which are these large grid areas with this diagonal bar going across. This is the frost panel area. This model does come supplied with a standard some frost panel protective covers, and again these can be super glued into place very carefully over there. You put them around obviously that way over there like that. I've left mine off because I like mine like that, and I haven't seen many 37s with the frost covers on. I imagine if they were working up in Scotland where they are now in ScotRail, you might have those probably fitted standard. Certainly with the snow ploughs as well. I've seen those up there, they're lovely. Anyway, looking at the top of the Loco on the roof detail, there's quite a nice amount of detail on the roof there. Let me just tilt her towards the camera and you can see. The only sad thing is this fan inside does not rotate when the Loco goes long, much like the Hornby Class 31, which does go round when it moves. This one doesn't, it's static, but looking at it, it's believable that it does go round. So that's a nice amount of detail there. The rivets on the roof are lovely. The paint finish is pristine and crisp. And everything on this Loco is nice and crisp. I mean, I can't fault this paint job on the front. And certainly all over generally. It's a lovely Loco. And the head codes of the other end are also different. So they're not the same as the front ones. They're different as well. And the same thing as these light up as well in the direction of travel. The buffers, sadly, are not sprung for some reason. That doesn't matter. We don't really care about that too much. But overall, she's a lovely Loco. If I just turn it on its side and we roll it over slightly with my hand, you can see underneath here, this is your little lighting hub. So as you can see, self-explanatory. You flick it over for the different lighting effects on here. You can have the tail lamps permanently switched on or permanently switched off, and the cab lights can be permanently switched on or off. The cab lights, when you switch it on in DC mode, will light up in the direction of travel. So the cab light will work with the head coat box indicators at the same time. So in the direction of travel, you get a cab light, and it light up when the trains go in that particular direction. Like I said, these are DCC ready. You can quite easily put a DCC and sound chip in this. Having said sound chip, I wouldn't try and attempt to put a sound chip in this because there's not a lot of space, because there's quite a lot of technical stuff going on underneath these. And overall, it's a very, very heavy Loco. She weighs an absolute ton. She's nice and heavy, which means she grips the track lovely. And afterwards, like I said, you'll see her in action. But I love this Loco in general, because not only because it's a 37, but because of the finish. I've always wanted a pristine finished green 37, typical of the early 60s. So it's actually cracking spot on for my layout. So there we go. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Just some minor details in there that I like. The windscreen wipers there on the cab windows there. The window glaze in its profile is correct. And it generally overall captures, I'd say out of 10, it gives it 10 out of 10 for the profile and appearance of the real 37s. And she's just a very handsome looking Loco, and very, very chunky looking, much like the real 37s. You can almost hear and smell the clag coming out of this. Anyway, that's enough on that. I'm going to put this back in the box and we'll get on to the second Loco that I received for my birthday this month. So stay tuned, and afterwards I'll do a running session of both Locos in action. So if you're still with me so far, fantastic, and I'll see you in a bit. Hi everyone, welcome back to the video, and as promised, this is going to be Loco number 2 being taken out of the box and shown you, and I hope that you enjoy this one. Anyway, here we go for Loco number 2 that I got for my birthday this month. It's one of these. It's a Hornby 4F Fowler, or Fowler 4F, whatever you want to say. She's lovely, what can I say? Really wanted one of these because I'm not going to spoil things too much, but let's just say that this Loco, or the Airfix version of this Loco that came with the colliery set, is a little bit poorly at the moment. Hence the rush to ask one of these for my birthday and get a more updated one to pull the colliery set, which you'll see afterwards. And we've been having some problems with that. I'm going to do a separate video about it because it does go on a little bit, and there's a lot to talk about why I decided to get one of these in replacement and what I'm going to do with the existing Airfix one. Anyway, as you can see, the box is quite nice and standard Hornby box, and what I like about the manufacturers like Hornby and Bachmann these days, not only their models but their boxes give you a little bit of history about the actual class of Loco you've just bought and you now proudly own, and tells you a little bit of history about the 4F design and where it was built and that sort of thing, what region it worked on, what sort of traffic it worked on, and a little schematic drawing as well, which gives you a nice little insight to that, which is nice. So what I'm going to do, let's get this out of the box and we'll have a little look at her, and then we'll see some running, because that's what you all switched on for, I'm sure. So we'll see you in a bit. Okay, well, here as promised are the 2 Locos we looked at earlier, in service and running on the layout this morning. It's Tuesday morning here in the UK, and over the weekend doing bits and pieces which I'll show you in a minute as well. I'm going to just show you this 37 running and let it speak for itself. And passing that on the other road is the Hornby 4F on the colliery set. Those wagons are individually numbered, as you can see, so they look quite good. And both Locos run really smoothly, as you can see for yourselves. And obviously what I like about this new tooled Hornby 4F is it's nice and smooth because it's direct driving the Loco, not the tender. So unlike the old Airfix version that you saw, this is basically a revamped Airfix tooling, but it's much smoother. It's got tender pickups and also Loco drive, which makes it much more reliable and smooth, as you can see. Smooth as a die, look at that, not a problem at all, absolutely cracking. I've had that running at slower speeds, believe it or not, and it does really work very well in shunting in slow speeds. The other 4F that came with the set that we looked at earlier is currently in A shop, which is up here on my shelf. That's going to stay there until I get a brand new motorised chassis for that. I said I was going to weather this, but you know what, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave that as it is in pristine finish because it'll be still valuable with the box set that came with the colliery wagons and the original Ritz Loco as well. So I'm going to leave that as it is. Anyway, moving on, I'm going to show you what I did Sunday of this weekend. I put an extension on the goods yard, which is here. I made this, took me about 2 days to do this, and before it only used to come up to here, and so we added this back bit now with some cobblestones there, some coal stays and some coal, a little back seam which includes a brick wall there, which I did, and right at the very end we've now got a coal office, which is there. And those are basically, they came out of the line side detail pack that came with the Thomas tank engine set that I bought for Grace, well, me really, but when she gets a bit older. It came as a bundle from Argos where you get the line side detail pack and also the station halt building and platforms, which I've still got. Really good value for money there, so I thought I'd use those rather than fork out for a wheels kit or a coal office kit. I might as well utilise these and just customise them. So these have been, one's been slightly painted, which is that one there, and also the other one's been left, but also I made a sign up on the roof there with some Cooper Craft station nameplate letters, which are quite easy to do. Mounted the whole thing on some wheel scenic pavement sheeting as a base, the other one as well, and just glued them in place there. Quite simple to do. And also this back seam serves as a purpose. It's like a little crash barrier, as you were, so it stops things getting knocked, because what was happening before, guys, basically what was happening, it used to finish here. If you look at the previous videos on my channel, you'll see that it used to go as far as there. So what I've done is I've just glued and screwed a piece of this hardboard stuff underneath, and then I'll just take you underneath a little bit. As you can see there, I've just glued and screwed a piece of this hardboard, cut the size, pinned it there, screwed it, and then glued it here, and that makes the whole thing much more rigid. It's very rigid now, so I'm pleased about that, and it's given it a little bit more space and detail, as you can see. And we're going to put some Foden coal lorries there, and some coal sacks are going to go in here, and bits and pieces are going to go in that area. Still loads more to do into super detail, but I'm quite happy with that. It don't look half bad, and it adds a bit more interest to this area. And I've still got loads of space to get past and sit down and get a viewpoint, as it were. So anyway, that's that. So I thought I'd just finish off by showing you that, and also the trains running. I know it's been a long video, it feels like it to me. And I'll see you again soon. Right, well here she is out of the box, and the box is a standard box, a bit like the Bachmann box you saw previous with the 37 in terms of plastic tray and insert. But more importantly, here's the Loco out of the box, and as you can see she's cracking. And I think she's really nice. And the first thing I picked up on the camera in my viewfinder here, you might be able to see this at home, is the amount of nice raised rivet detail around the front end and the smoke box and the running plate there. It's quite a nice amount of detail. So we'll start at the smoke box end, obviously, and we'll look at the front profile first of all. So if I bring the camera around this way, you can just have a look at her, and she's lovely. On my sample here from Hornby, the vacuum pipe on the front was pre-fitted, so yours might come with a vacuum pipe, yours might not. But there is some super detail you can fit on there, I do believe, if you look. Well, certainly mine came with it on there anyway. It comes with the standard NEM pocket coupling, which you can remove from the front and fit your own couplings in terms of KDs or whatever you want to use. They do come off the front quite easily, and they're replaced if they're damaged. They're quite easily to fit back on there. And there is a little hook on the front of the buffer beam, as you can see there, should you wish to fit a different chain link or 3-link coupling system if you want to do that. But other than that, there's quite a nice profile from the front, and it's basically the same as the old Airfix tooling. And what they've done is slightly improve the Airfix tooling in terms of performance, and got rid of the horrible, nasty, crappy motor in the tender, which is the Achilles heel of the collar reset Loco, which I'm going to do in a separate video, so I might get too frustrated and go into a long waffle. Anyway, moving down the Loco, there's some nice touches, as you can see. This builder's plate above the middle centre wheel splasher arch there, that's nice, I like that. The wheels are nicely turned out, the crank rods and everything on there are lovely. Some nice rivet detail all over really on the Loco. Tender's nice, as you can see. You've got this close drawbar arrangement, as you can see there, and just out of interest and certainly discussion topic, the reason they've left that there in place from the old Airfix version, because the Airfix version was exactly the same, and the wire you see underneath the drawbar there used to go directly into the motor, which was in the tender. So what they've done is basically left that in place and kept that for tender pickups, and each wheel underneath, as you see in a minute when I flip it over, has got some pickups on the rear tender wheels, so that improves it going over install frog points and also over track in general. The reason for the close drawbar, they've left that in place. I don't know why they didn't put a pin or something different in there, but overall it does improve it, because you've got quite a close coupling between the tender and the actual Loco, and it does negotiate curves of pretty tight radius. I mean, fourth radius curves it works on pretty well. I've got some tight curves in my layout, and as you can see from the videos, and it performs really well. Anyway, moving on to the cab, there's nothing much to write home about the cab. Hornby have gone back to this, leaving the cab completely black with no details at all on there, unless you buy one of their top end models. Then they're picked out in different colours, in the correct colours, but this one's black. However, if you really have a steady hand and you don't have much to do one Saturday afternoon or something like that, you could actually get in there and certainly paint the regulator in little tiny bits and pieces, give it a little personal touch. Overall that's quite nice, because you've got the side handrails there, and if you was really clever you could actually manufacture a tarpaulin to go over the inside of the cab roof a little bit, and you could do things like that. There's room for improvements on this model, definitely. As you can see, what I've done on the tender, I've actually covered the fake plastic coal with some real black gold, and as you can see I've given that a generous topping of coal, the real thing on the top there, held in place with PVA glue. And there's a little bit of detail on the front of the tender, fireman's side certainly, enough to please the eye. If we look at the Loco from the rear perspective, you'll see it's pretty standard, not that exciting, but enough on there again to please the eye in terms of you've got some brackets there and some bits and pieces going on, vacuum pipe and some nice guardrail detail underneath. If we take the Loco gently on its side. We roll it on its side very slightly, just so it's flat. You'll see that underneath they've pretty much cheated a little bit here. Shame on you, Hornby. They've actually left the old Airfix tooling in terms of underneath. These brake shoes that are supposed to be separate. Hang on, let's bring the camera in. Oh no, not that much. If you look at these brake shoes here, these are actually cast plastic compared to the fine scale ones you get on most Locos. They've left that old Airfix tooling on there. From that angle, looks pretty nasty and cheap and not very impressive. So there's no nice fine scale detail underneath. But you know what? That's not a bad thing. And again, you've got this close drawbar. The Loco is coupled all the time, so when you handle her, do handle her with a bit of care and respect. And obviously, just bear in mind that you've got this wire underneath, so that don't snatch this or get it caught up on anything. You shouldn't do if you handle it reasonably well and normally. You shouldn't have any problems, but obviously don't pick it up from a tender first, things like that. As you can see in the camera shot here, you've got these wipers on the tender wheels on the rear, which provide excellent pickup through point work and track work in general. And this is where the old nasty tender motor used to sit, and obviously they've redesigned that. They've kept the chassis, but just put in these pickups and these nicer wheels. So flipping her back over. Excuse me. So as you can see, yeah, she's quite a nice Loco. I mean, she's a very handsome Loco, and when she's running around with a appropriate trailer on the back of her, be it passenger or freight or fitted or unfitted, I mean, she looks lovely. She is a decent looking Loco. What I like about this Loco, guys, is that she's got character. And I do like Locos on my railway that have character. And my layout is predominantly Eastern region from 1962 onwards. So I think if my memory and certainly my reference library at home serves me correct, there wasn't any Fowler 4Fs at Temple Mills. At least I don't think so anyway. If there is, shame on me. But anyway, I think these Locos are great, and I just wanted to get this basically as a bit of an upgrade to the current Airfix crisis I have with the original one that came with the colliery set. So this is a nice upgrade for it. What I will say is, I won't go on too much about the issue with the Airfix Loco. I'm going to do a separate video for that, which you'll hear about why, what's happened to the Loco and what I'm doing with it basically. But to finish off with this Loco before you see it running, I will give this Loco 10 out of 10. Not only for appearance, but also for performance wise. And also I'll give it 10 out of 10 because I think that even the younger generation who's starting out in the model railway scene, safe to say that with supervision they could handle this Loco reasonably well, and nothing seriously would get broken off. Obviously if you give a sort of an 8-year-old child or a bit younger, say about a 6 to a 9-year-old child, a top-end super detailed A4 from Hornby with all the little fiddly bits on it, or a Britannia or a 9F, then obviously yeah, things are going to get broken off. But with this, there's not that much to break off from that unless you really handle it stupidly. You handle it sort of sensibly, there's nothing really to break off, and that's why I mentioned that these brake shoes down here, they're not going to break off or snap off or get damaged because they're just moulded. So from the outside they give the appearance to the eye, but obviously when you turn it over you can see they're cast. But it's not really a bad thing really. And to be honest with you, I think this was on a massive exhibition layout, something like Worley, and it was going around with a nice weathered set of freight wagons or a coal train behind it. Do you know what? I think people wouldn't even notice, and it would look the part. Anyway, I'm going to stop this now, and you'll be able to see the two Locos in action. And I hope you've enjoyed the video so far. So until we see each other again, have a great day and take care. And more videos to follow coming in October. Look out for those ones, and take care and all the best. And have a great, happy modelling on your railway.